All right, Paul Robeson and HUAC additional assistance. So, first question you're going to answer on your own. Any beliefs or ideas a U.S. citizen could hold that would justify the government's investigation or punishing of him or her? If not, why not? If so, which beliefs? All right, we're going to review this PowerPoint real quick. It's a quick one again. All right, McCarthyism. So Paul Robeson was a singer, actor, and athlete who was active in the civil rights, a black man who was active in the civil rights movement. He also sympathized with the Soviet Union and communist ideas. Robeson believed that communism might offer better living conditions to poor people and workers than capitalism could. Joseph McCarthy was a senator from Wisconsin from 1947 to 1957. McCarthy believed that communism was subversive or threatening to national security, and he used the House Un-American Activities Committee, HUAC, to investigate and punish U.S. citizens suspected of communist sympathies. McCarthyism, hundreds of people, especially in the entertainment industry, were investigated. A few were found to be spying for the Soviet Union. Many others were blacklisted, prevented from working, even if there was little evidence to show that they were communists. The period from 1950 to 1956 is sometimes called the McCarthy era, and McCarthy's tactics of accusing people of subversive beliefs without sufficient evidence is called McCarthyism. Today's document is from Robeson's testimony before HUAC. Vocabulary words: apprehend is to believe, invoke is to use to justify one's behavior, laud is to admire. All right, so let's read this testimony real quick here. Throughout this testimony, Mr. Robeson will invoke the Fifth Amendment. In that case, he's talking about part of the Fifth Amendment he's invoking is the right. You've heard this phrase, I plead the Fifth. He's invoking the right where he doesn't have to answer the question because it could be testifying against himself. All right? It could get himself in trouble based on the answer he gives. All right, so it starts with Mr. Ahrens, are you now a member of the Communist Party? Mr. Robeson, what do you mean by the Communist Party? As far as I know, it is a legal party like the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Do you mean a party of people who have sacrificed for my people and for all Americans and workers that they can live in dignity? Do you mean that party? Mr. Ahrens, are you now a member of the Communist Party? Mr. Robeson, would you like to come to the ballot box when I vote and take out the ballot and see? Mr. Ahrens, Mr. Chairman, I respectfully suggest that the witness be ordered and directed to answer that question. Mr. Robeson, I stand upon the Fifth Amendment of the American Constitution. Mr. Ahrens, do you honestly apprehend that if you told this Constitution truthfully? Mr. Robeson, I have no desire to consider anything. I invoke the Fifth Amendment, and it is none of your business what I would like to do. And I invoke the Fifth Amendment, and forget it. The chairman, you are directed to answer that question, Mr. Robeson. Mr. Robeson, I invoke the Fifth Amendment, and so I am answering it. Am I not? The chairman, you are directed to answer that question. Mr. Robeson, gentlemen, in the first place, wherever I have been in the world, Scandinavia, England, and many places, the first to die in the struggle against fascism were the communists, and I laid many wreaths upon graves of communists. It is not criminal, and the Fifth Amendment has nothing to do with criminality. The other reason that I'm here today, again from the State Department and from the court record of the Court of Appeals, is that when I'm abroad, I speak out against the injustices against the Negro people of this land. I am not being tried for whether I'm a communist. I'm being tried for fighting for the rights of my people who are still second-class citizens in this United States of America. Mr. Ahrens, now I would invite your attention, if you please, to the Daily Worker of June 29th, 1949, with reference to a get-together with you and Ben Davis. Do you know Ben Davis? Mr. Robeson, one of my dearest friends, one of the finest Americans you can imagine. Born of a fine family who went to Amherst and was a great man. The chairman, the answer is yes. Mr. Robeson, nothing could make me prouder than to know him. The chairman, that answers the question. Mr. Ahrens, do I understand you to laud his patriotism? Mr. Robeson, I say that he is patriotic as an American as there can be, and you gentlemen belong with the Alien and Sedition Acts, and you are the non-patriots, and you are the un-Americans, and you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Questions 2. He believes he's up there because he's gone around the world and spoken about the unfair treatment of African Americans in the United States. He's been an outspoken activist in the civil rights movement. And looking at the Fifth Amendment, as I mentioned earlier, he's invoking his right to refuse to testify against oneself. So he doesn't have to answer a question that might get him in trouble. So when you hear on TV, I plead the Fifth, that's what they're talking about. That last paragraph here, when he calls the members of this committee un-American, what do you think he means by that? That's your opinion. And then 5, could something like the House of Un-American Activities Committee could be revived in the future? If no, why not? If yes, what groups might it target? Hope this helped. Turn in when you're done.